Top of the top, as always, the game is a game. So let's go ahead and get into the Philadelphia Eagles offseason. So the Philadelphia Eagles, the runner-up in the Super Bowl. Every team, once again, I'm going to hammer home this quote, has massive opportunities to get better or get worse in the offseason. Will you take those opportunities? I think the opportunities lie for the Philadelphia Eagles in their offensive and defensive line positions. So this has always been a focus under Howie Roseman. This is the way that they won their Super Bowl a couple years back with Doug P. This is where they got to the Super Bowl this year. I think they arguably had the best offensive line in the league, and I think they had the best defensive line. Were the number 3 all-time team in sacks this year with over 70. So I think that this has to be an area of focus. They have a lot of guys on the offensive and defensive line who are free agents. You have Fletcher Cox, you have Jason Kels, you have Isaac Seumalo, you have Brandon Graham, you have Javon Hargraves, excuse me. So you have these players that are free agents who are core parts of your team. So the question is, do you bring them back, and what price do you bring these guys back? Well, Jason Kels and with Fletcher Cox, I think it's simple. If these guys want to come back because they've meant so much to the franchise, you have to bring them back. Now, they've already drafted Jason Kels's replacement, and Jason Kels has talked about retirement. He also has a podcast with his brother that's one of the best sport podcasts that have recently came out. So I think he might be, 1 foot out already. But if he wants to come back because he's one of those guys, you let him back in. Fletcher Cox the same. I mean, he's obviously not the dominant guy that he was before. He was arguably, the second best D tackle in the league behind Aaron Donald. I think those days have passed, but once again, he provides veteran leadership. I think if you platoon him and, limit his snap counts, he's still an effective player. So I would bring him back if the price is right. With Jason Hargraves, with Hargraves, excuse me, with Graham, with Isaac Seumalo, I wouldn't bring them back unless the price is very reasonable. These guys are going to have that Super Bowl new car smell, and guys are going to overpay for them. That's just the way the league works. Anytime Super Bowl free agents come up, they get paid. And the Eagles have a lot of money that they're going to have to invest in the quarterback position and in Devontae Smith to keep their offense settled. So you're going to have to move the money around some way. And I think that those 3 guys, I would move off of them. The Eagles have built up depth in the defensive line area, particularly on the pass rushing side with Hassan Reddick, with Sweat. You still have Derek Barnett. I would, maybe invest, some picks into that position. I mean, obviously they went with the big boy Davis and the defensive line side. So maybe you would have to add another defensive line because, again, you don't want Fletcher Cox to be an every down starter. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't spend too much money on guys who you're probably going to be paying for past performance, given their age. I would move on. And, there's other guys, other positions that they have to think of as well. They have to think about what do they do with Bradbury. He's already said that he's not coming back on no cheap deal. What do you do with Gardner Johnson, a guy that they gave up some draft capital before, who played very well for them? He's probably going to want to get paid. And the reason why he got traded from the Saints is because they couldn't figure out a contract. So when you put all this together, I think that the Eagles, their offseason is going to be, what do we do to fortify these lines, especially because guys are getting long in the tooth? You might have to start thinking about what are you going to do with Lane Johnson. The injuries are starting to pile up. Is he going to lose steam here pretty soon? This is a guy that got drafted, I believe. He got drafted in 2013, so he's a 10-year veteran. Offensive linemen generally have a longer shelf life, but it's just a thing to consider. So I think that's going to be the focus of the Eagles offseason. And I think that they should definitely guard themselves for paying for past performance. Let those 3 guys go that I talked about, and focus on bringing in younger guys in free agency and the draft. All right, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. As always, the game is a game.